The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
There goes that man's jock strap. Oh my God, did you see that?
America's team? Yeah, right.
Oh, baby, it's a big day in sports.
There's nothing like battling it out with your teammates all season long to go win a championship.
Green Bay's got it this year.
Huge move for them. I think it's going to be a game changer.
We have a lot to talk about this busy week in the sports world. Welcome to the In a League of Their Own podcast.
The In a League of Their Own podcast is brought to you by Golf Kicks. Screw your shoes. By Canadips. Rep Sports. By Smooth My Balls. And by Streamer Loot. Check out the In a League of Their Own merch line today. Welcome to the show. Let's see what Austin and Collin are diving into today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 91 of the In a League of Their Own podcast. Kicking us off with today's number 91 sports fact. The UConn Huskies women's basketball team owns a plethora of college basketball records. In 2017, they extended a winning streak to 91 games, which became the most in NCAA history. UConn went on to break their previous record of 90, which was set by earlier Husky teams from years back. And they would go on to win a total of 111 straight games with that team before a loss in the 2017 NCAA tournament. So shout out to the always dominant UConn Huskies women's basketball team.
I think one of the greatest dynasties we'll ever see for college basketball.
What's the name of their coach again? I always forget his name. Like, I know his face. It's like not Gus. Is it Gus something?
It is
Greg.
Gino Ariema.
And it started with a G. For some reason Gus is coming to mind.
Yeah, he's just signed an extension actually before this season through 24-25.
Cool.
Damn, 36 seasons. 36th year at UConn this year.
Has he
67 years old?
Like, is he the most winning college basketball coach, or is he like behind Pat Summitt or behind Roy Williams? I guess, like, where?
I'm gonna look. According to all time, number one is Mike Martin. I have no idea who that is. He's got 2,029 wins. He's number one. From Florida State. He coached from 1980 to 2019. He's the first basketball coach to cross 2,000 victories. Let's see.
Because I guess, yeah, he's been dominant the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, but he could have sucked ass his first 20 years. So he might be low on that list.
Yeah, and that's women's basketball too. I got to search. I think it might be different.
Because I know Roy Williams in his last year passed a mark.
Yeah, for women's, it's completely different. Number one for women's is Tara Van Derver. She's been coaching 42 years. Started with Idaho from 78 to 80, then went to Ohio State from 80 to 85. Was been at Stanford from 85 to 95 and continuing to be coaching 96 through the present. Gino's in second. He's 6 wins behind number one. He's at UConn. And then you have fifth place, who's been coaching for 50 years. They're at Rutgers. C. Vivian Stringer. But those are the only ones that are even close. But yeah, Tara Van Derver is number one. Stanford's head coach. By 6. But yes, he does have. Gino has the best winning percentage, though. 0.886. And Pat Summitt's 0.841. So that's fucking winning a lot of games.
Yeah.
You're winning. That's so many.
Sounds good then. Moving into our NFL talk for the day then. I guess kicking us off with some injuries. One for the Packers here. The Packers place linebacker Darius Smith on IR with that lingering back injury. Um, they were doubtful he was going to play week one. He ended up playing a decent amount of snaps. And then this week he's been dealing with that injury even more. They put him on IR, so it has him out at least 6 weeks. And they go out and sign from the Bucks practice squad linebacker Darius Hamilton to the 53-man roster to take his place.
Not a huge loss this early in the season. We still got a handful of time to get him back and healthy. I think that was stupid that he played week one, to be honest.
Yeah,
If you're
especially
dealing with any sort of injury, why won't you get back to 100%? Like, I know you want to get out there and play to win, but you could tell the way that the game was going right away that he should have just not played.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this opens the door for Preston Smith, who's kind of fallen. He had an amazing first year with the Packers 2 years ago. Last year fell off a bit, gives him a chance to get more reps. Rashawn Gary as well. And the rookie linebacker Campbell, who's more of the lone linebacker that they have in coverage and less of a pass rusher, but still, nonetheless, everybody in that linebacker group is going to get more reps with, in my opinion, their best linebacker in their team being out.
Yeah, and then moving over to the Los Angeles Chargers, talking about a former Packer, offensive lineman Brian Bulaga has been put on the IR as well. They have no idea when he's going to end up getting back. He's been dealing with an injury. He ended up missing half the season last year for the Packers with this injury. They thought that it was all good to go. Turns out he's been dealing with some issues with it, and they're going to let him get back to full strength before he tries to give it a go again. Huge loss for the Chargers. And then I think one of the craziest situations, Minnesota Vikings defensive end Everson Griffin in concussion protocol, likely to miss game on Sunday after car accident. He was driving to practice and he ended up swerving to miss a deer and he ended up hitting a car. Who knows how this is going to go? Obviously, concussions are a touch and go subject. And if he's not out there for the Minnesota Vikings this weekend, that's a huge loss. Because he had a great week one.
Yeah, it makes you think where, because obviously in Minnesota, but like their facility is right downtown, so it makes you wonder where he was coming from.
Well, players don't live in the city. There's really nowhere to live.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I guess that's a risk you take of being a Midwest football team, dealing with deer plus driving in the winters to where you got a game to get to and it's fucking blizzarding. Like, you got to get there.
Mm-hmm. I forgot that was years back, I think, where it was the Buffalo Bills, where there was a Bills member who actually lived in a neighborhood where they like got snowed in. So the whole neighborhood ended up getting him onto a snowmobile and fucking someone tracked him to a road where he could get picked up by somebody and then get him to the place where he needed to get to in time. It's like, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that was in Minnesota.
That's awesome.
Or Buffalo, one of the two.
Yeah, and then the last injury I had for today, the Cowboys defensive end Marcus Lawrence will be out 6 to 8 weeks as well with a broken foot. Another hit to that Cowboys defense that's trying to kind of rebuild. They did stand the test in week one against the Bucks. Played a good game down the stretch. Yeah, you lose one of your best pass rushers. That's going to be a lull for them for the next 6 to 8 weeks. But yet again, as we talked about, looking at their schedule, the next prior playoff team that they will play is week 11 against the Chiefs. So I guess if there's a time to be out, next 6 to 8 weeks is the best time to have a guy like that out.
Yeah, and then the last injury that I have was coming from Thursday night's game last night. Offensive lineman Nick Gates from the New York Giants suffered a leg fracture. He used to have surgery. Season is completely over. Happened early in the first quarter. For those of you, I don't know if anybody else got to see it, but it was pretty fucking gross.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets back to full strength. That's a huge deal when you break your leg. Especially at this late in your life to have to break your leg and go through it. It's not like when you're a kid and everything goes nice and smoothly back together. So shout out to him, and hopefully that Giants team can figure out what they're going to do going forward here, because it seems like they have a lot of questions surrounding a lot of things going on in that organization right now.
Yeah, one being that it was funny. It was actually a meme I saw a little bit before we got on. Is if you're reading this, you have more yards than rookie Kadarius Toney. It looked in his 2021 stat line right now, 2 catches for -2 yards. So a guy that was expected to ball out his rookie year, alongside Kenny Golladay to kind of boost that receiving core of the Giants. Looks like he's off to a slow start as well there.
Yeah, that Giants team looks rough.
Yeah. Just in general, watching those NFC East games, it looks like neither team wants to win. Like the penalties by each side, the Giants left 11 points on the board, still had a chance to win the game. They won the game. Guy went off sides, gave the Washington football team a chance to win it with a second field goal. He nails it, barely sneaks it in the right post. It's been painful the past couple of years watching games within that division, because it's a coin flip. Unless one team pulls away with it and is having a decent game due to the other team's turnovers, you never know who's going to win. I mean, 30-29 was the final last night. Ended up being a higher scoring game than I thought. I thought it was going to be closer to like 20s and teens kind of game, but also again, Giants technically should have had 40 points because they left 11 on the board. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you get when you have a division game. When you have 2 teams in the same division battling it out. We're going to see the same thing on Monday night when it's the Packers and the Lions. We're going to get to see the same sort of situation, I feel.
Yeah. A fun bet, I guess, sticking with the NFC East and the Eagles. Eagles center Jason Kelsey dyed his hair blonde after losing a bet to tight end Zach Ertz. Kelsey said that Ertz would be traded by the start of the season. The Eagles and Ertz ended up working out a deal to keep him there. So Kelsey kept to his side of the deal and dyed his hair blonde to match Ertz's hair color. So he was like in a press conference yesterday. Looked goofy, big dark beard, and then just blonde on the top. But it's always fun to see that kind of stuff going on between players. Obviously, and then Kelsey went on to say that obviously he was happy he lost that, keeping Ertz in Philly.
Yeah, that was interesting to see.
Any other points you got in the NFL before we go into our
just the New Orleans Saints are waiting game time decision from Marshawn Lattimore after he just underwent surgery on his thumb Monday morning, and still waiting to hear back from their coaches from their positive tests. They're expecting half, so 4 is likely to be out.
For Lattimore, I wonder if, coming off of thumb surgery and playing that same week, I imagine they're probably going to have a club on him if he's going to play. But as a defensive back, it kind of limits you if you're playing with one hand. As far as trying to catch a ball, you got a stub on one hand, to clamp it.
You don't need to catch him, though. You can just fucking smack him down.
Yeah, that's true.
Same thing.
But yeah, and the last point I had for the NFL before we go into our predictions for the week, the NFL announced yesterday that the Colts will be the first team to host an in-season Hard Knocks, starting at, was it November 5th, I think was the date. They're going to be following them all the way from that point through the end of their season, whether that's the end of the regular season, through the playoffs, whatever that's going to look like. I know we were kind of talking about it last night, even though it's kind of a cool addition for them to be doing this. Kind of raises some questions how much depth they're going to be able to go into being mid-season when you're trying to. I mean, all your practices are private; they're inside the facility. Only so many people can get in and out with obviously the right credentials. So I don't know how boring it's going to be as far as how far they're going to be able to go inside the organization without them saying, "Oh no, no cameras in here. We're talking about this. Other teams can't know about this." So it's a good idea, but
I'm sure everything's recorded like in these buildings with security cameras and everything. Anyway, I'm sure it's all recorded anyway, especially by the NFL, making sure that there's no funny business going on in anywhere. So I feel like already with the Hard Knocks, I feel like with as much cameras and shit that there is around, because social media is as huge as it is now, Hard Knocks kind of lost its boom because you get to see the same sort of shit through social media, through players' Instagrams, Twitters, direct from, instead of hearing it from a third person through this. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens during the season, and the first episode, November 17th.
17th. Okay. Sounds good then. Anything else to add before we jump into our games for the week?
No, just not much about that. Just one of the reasons they talked about why they selected the Colts. Carson Wentz being the number 2 overall pick and going through what he has so far, that's kind of a question mark. Interesting story on how that's going to turn out. And the other story is with COVID-19, linebacker Darius Leonard, Carson Wentz, and center Ryan Kelly are some of the notable players who are yet to be vaccinated on the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting. I know you're mentioning last night as far as some of the kind of the credentials it takes to be a team in the Hard Knocks, having so many losing seasons, high draft picks, obviously being a team that has young talent that people are going to be kind of wondering, are they trending up? Are they trending down kind of thing? Obviously the Cowboys being on there twice, the most expensive franchise in the NFL, one of the biggest fan bases as well. They're always going to have eyes on them. If anything, I think the Colts might be one of the less like known teams that are going to be on Hard Knocks, because the Browns they have a huge fan base. The Rams have always had a big fan base. Again, the Cowboys, the Colts. I mean,
they have a huge fan base,
but they're just in one of those spots that I feel like if you're in Indiana, that you have how many teams around that area that like, oh, the Colts suck, I'm gonna jump on board with. You have your Pennsylvania teams next door. You have Kansas City right there. You have just south of you have the Titans as well. I just feel like they're one of those teams that if you're a Colts fan, I'm trying to think who I can't even think of anybody I know that like is a Colts fan. Like I know people who are Cowboys fans, Patriots fans, Bucks fans. Like off the top of my head, I don't know any. I'm not friends with or know anybody that's a Colts fan. So I guess it's just one of those teams that it's like.
Yeah, from living in Indiana, dude, they're diehard just like we are for the Packers here. That's how they are for the Colts.
Sounds good. Going into our games for the week, kind of similar to last week. We're going to change it up a little bit. We just picked essentially two teams we thought were going to win, two teams we thought were going to lose last week. Going forward, at least for this week, we're going to try out kind of a different structure. We're going to pick 3 games for the week, so 6 total. We might have some overlapping ones, which if we do, we'll kind of go into how we're going to make those fun. But we're going to pick an outright winner, a lock, and then an underdog upset are going to be our 3 predictions for the week. So essentially any team that could win, and then the lock is a team expected to win that we think, yeah, they're going to win. And then the team that is obviously not favored in the game that we think is going to pull out the win. So I'll throw things over to you for your win. Who do you have as your outright winner for the week?
I'm going to go with the Packers.
Packers. All right.
Mhm.
Just a second. Predictions. All right. For my outright winner for the week, I have the Cardinals over the Vikings. After their dominant week one, kind of hard to pick against them right now.
So that's not going to be your lock since they're supposed to win.
No,
Okay.
that's just my win.
I was just checking just because they are supposed to win.
Yeah.
Just to want to make sure that it was your lock.
For your lock for the week,
I'm taking the Patriots over the Jets.
sounds good. My lock for the week, Super Bowl rematch, 28-3 comeback. Bucks over the Falcons is my lock for the week. And then forward your upset for the week.
Chargers over the Cowboys.
It'd be Cowboys over Chargers. Because that's what I have. The Chargers are favored by 3.5.
Well, remember, we weren't going strictly off those odds. Remember, we were just doing however we wanted to.
It's a team that's projected to lose that we think is going to win. That was what the upset and underdog is supposed to be.
All right, then I'll pick a different one then. All right, Bengals to beat the Bears.
Sounds good. And then last game or another game for the week here.
What's your upset?
Cowboys over Chargers. Chargers are favored by 3.5. I think the Cowboys will go into LA and get their first win of the year. And then kind of just diving into, we both kind of decided on a good matchup for the week. Both teams 1-0. The 49ers going into Philly are it's kind of the game that we're both going to be keeping an eye on as a game of the week. I mean, you have your Fox and CBS have their 3:00 games that are these are the games of the week. But we both kind of looked at this one and thought it'd be a really good matchup. Jalen Hurts coming off a really good game, looks to try to ride that momentum. The 49ers look dominant against the Lions, kind of sandbagged at the end to make it close, but nonetheless put up 41 points. So a dominant offense there. But yeah, in a Philly atmosphere, that's always ruthless. So this should be a really good game. That is one of the noon games for Sunday. So I guess for that game, then, I guess we don't have to. I mean, we can give a prediction, but who do you like coming out in that one?
49ers by under a field goal.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, they're favored to win by 3. I mean, that's obviously the odds show that this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be close as well. I say 49ers as well. One possession game by 6 or 7.
Actually, you want to know what? Fuck it. I'll bet you a case of Mountain Dew that the Eagles beat the 49ers.
Okay, sounds good. Just outright win, whoever wins the game.
And can you give me 3 points to cover that spread? So the Niners would have to win
by more than 3.
So as long as the Eagles, so in my case, the Eagles have to win or lose by less than 3, and I win.
Sure, I'll do that. So, yeah, we didn't have any games match or lineup this week, but essentially, kind of the little bet we made there, where if we're for our wins, our locks, and our upsets, if we both picked the same game, but we made opposite picks, going out or going through the rest of the year, we'll kind of throw a little fun contests and wagers and stuff like that. Obviously, being in Wisconsin, sports betting is not legal, so we'll find a way to make it fun. And then the last game of the week, going to our Packers then, Monday Night Football. So we'll have to wait an extra day after all the other games to get to see how the Packers respond to their week 1 embarrassment. What do you see for a prediction for this Packers game? And I believe the Packers still have the 11 points. Hasn't changed. Well, no, I take that back. Cleveland is favored by 13 over the Texans. So that is the Cleveland game is the biggest, supposed to be the biggest lopsided game, which I think that would be one that's going to be a lot closer than 13, just with how good
I actually
the
think
Texans
Houston
look.
can win.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's going to be a 1-possession game that could go either way.
Especially with OBJ being out again. But Packers, fuck. I mean, I hope they look good. I hope they win by plus 11 or whatever they think that they're going to win by. I don't care what the score is. I just want to see them start to look better all around. I know not having Smith in on the back end is a little bit of a loss, but I don't think it's as big of a loss as everybody's making it seem like. Yeah, I think we're going to win at Lambeau. Yeah, I think they're going to win.
What's a score to throw out there?
35-21.
All right. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think they come back pissed off. That offense is going to get back on the right track. I say Packers 42, Lions 17. Going to be a very lopsided game. I mean, yeah, the Lions kind of came back against the 49ers, but I think that was more of a lack of trying on the 49ers side. And then once they realized, oh shit, they're coming back, then they dug their heels in and got the win. So I feel like that's kind of what it came down to. I mean, again, hats off to the Lions for kind of riding some momentum into week 2, but also that game was at home against the 49ers, where now they have to go into Lambeau. First full packed game since 2019. I think that, again, just like we saw with Allegiant Stadium for the Raiders, with how chaotic that was their first game there, Lambeau is going to be the exact same way. I mean, all around the NFL, every team that has their first home game this year, week 2 here, you're going to see a lot of them as well. All those stadiums are going to be rocking, and Lambeau is right up there with the best of them. So, yeah, hoping for a lopsided win. Obviously, just to get a win, period, would be good, just because it'd be the first time the Packers start 0-2 since I think 2006. But yeah, it's important to keep it even this early on, especially against a division rival. You got to win those games. So, yeah, looking forward to Monday night.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's all I had for the NFL then. Obviously, come Monday, we'll highlight kind of some of the other games around the league. We probably won't go into depth on every game as on Monday. For those who watch the episode, talked for almost an hour just on kind of recapping the game. So we'll kind of, I guess, touch on highlights here and there aside from our picks for the week moving forward in that case. So moving in then to college football for a couple games this week. The Badgers have their bye week, so they are not playing this week. Only really a couple games to note, as it's week 3, so you still have a lot of if there's games in conference, it's top of the conference versus bottom of the conference. Otherwise, you still have FBS versus FCS games where Teams are favored by 20, 30 points. One game they're calling the game of the week. I don't know if I call it the game of the week. Alabama, number 1 versus 11, Florida. The game is in Gainesville, Florida, so Florida does have that going for them. But Alabama is 14.5-point favorites in that game. I think it's going to be even more lopsided than that. Probably going to be a 3-4 possession game. But I mean, early on, every year as dominant as Alabama is, but this is kind of that last point of the year where if a team is going to be Alabama, it's got to be Florida because they start the year 3-0. They are putting up 40, 50 points a game. They get rolling. Nobody's really going to stop them. So I guess if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Florida this week, even though
it ain't going to be Florida.
Even though it ain't going to be Florida. But, I mean.
They're going undefeated this season.
Yeah. Looking at
like I said, from week 1, I've never seen a college football team look that good in my entire life. Like, out of all the Alabama teams that they've had, this one looks the best.
Yeah. I mean, just as I feel like
you have a freshman quarterback, Bryce Young, too.
Yeah. I feel like, especially since some of the teams that are usually up there with them, they lost so much this year that they're all trying to kind of bounce back and find their identity again. Yeah, Alabama loses a lot of players every year, but also they have second string guys that would be starters on every other team around college.
Right. But that's not it's not an excuse.
Yeah.
Other teams could recruit better. I'm excited to see Nick Saban. He did a thing with the NFL Network. I think it airs tonight. He did a sit-down interview on what it was like for him to come from basically the bottom of college football to now being the pinnacle of the mountain, the goat of college football I think he sat down and I think it was like a 60-minute interview or something. They gave a little bit of a sneak preview of it last night during the football game in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I'm going to have to find out and watch that because it'd be interesting to hear him talk about how he views it as being that good.
Yeah. That was with Eli Manning, wasn't it?
I don't know who it was with. I just saw one of the quotes from it, and it's like, I wake up every morning with a cup of coffee and 2 little Debbie donuts.
Yeah,
and if I don't get one of those, I'm pissed.
Yeah, that was Eli. I saw the same thing. I didn't know if that was the same thing you were talking about, but yeah, it's always cool to go into the mind of somebody who's the best at what they do, whether it's a player, a coach, I mean, anything in life, somebody who's at the best at what they do. It's cool to kind of get off the field, tap into their mind, take them away from football for a minute of worrying about all the schemes and the antics to just pick their brain about life and how they got there.
Georgia, I think, is going to have a close game with South Carolina. Auburn, Penn State's going to be a close game, and I feel like Clemson's not going to be running away with it against Georgia Tech. I feel like Georgia Tech's going to give them a run.
Yeah, and then another game that you had mentioned, I don't know if it's the big noon. No, I don't think it is the big noon game, but Virginia Tech versus West Virginia. Virginia Tech, number 15, they upset North Carolina game week 1, which is kind of what gives them that number 15 rank. 2-0 going into West Virginia, who is 1-1. West Virginia is favored by 2.5. But again, that should be a really good game as well. 2 rivals there.
Who do you think should win?
I don't know. I mean, if it was at Virginia Tech, I'd say Virginia Tech all day, just because of, again, having one of the top atmospheres in college football with their Enter Sandman. I think that's one of the coolest traditions in football. In West Virginia, though, the Mountaineers, that's also a really tough place to play. I'll say Virginia Tech comes into West Virginia and gets the win. It's going to be a close game, though, I think. It's going to be a 1-possession game.
Want to put a case on it?
Sure.
All right.
So you got West Virginia then?
Yep.
But they have to win by...
They just got to win. Is West Virginia unless
West
unless you
Virginia
want
is
me to give
favored
you
by
the
2.
points?
Yeah, I want the points if Virginia Tech's going in. So basically, West Virginia has to win by a field goal or more.
Yeah, because if they win by 3, I'm good.
Yeah, it's 2.5. So
Okay, yeah, I'll give you the 2.5.
all right, sounds good. Yeah, otherwise there isn't a whole lot of other games going on. I mean, obviously there's a lot going on, but again, it's still a lot of um outside conference versus a different conference, FCS versus FBS games. And again, Wisconsin does not play this week. They have a week to prepare for a huge game at Soldier Field against Notre Dame. So that should be a really
We're
good
gonna
one.
get fucking smacked in the mouth.
Wisconsin's actually they have Wisconsin as the home team for that game.
Mhm.
I guess. Oh, how do they decide that?
I think we gave up a home game
Oh,
to
okay.
do it there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Moving over to the NBA here then. Only point I had to mention is another victory happened for the Antetokounmpo family yesterday as Giannis's mother, Veronica, and brother Alex were granted citizenship to Greece. Obviously huge for them to get that early on. Well, I mean, Giannis's mom's been waiting a while, but for his brother Alex, because of if you don't have citizenship to a country, it doesn't allow you to travel. Which for Giannis, he got his citizenship to Greece the night of the NBA draft when the Bucks took him. So that allowed him to be a part of that team, allowed him to travel with them. So kind of takes that stress off of Alex as he's making his journey to the NBA as well here. Kind of takes that extra thing off his plate to not have to worry about that. So great to see that.
Yeah, and then my only point on the NBA is the Los Angeles Clippers owner Steve Ballmer plans to build Intuit Arena, which is going to be located down in the Intuit Dome, which is in Inglewood, California. It's costing him upwards of $2 billion and is scheduled to open for the 24-25 NBA season, strictly for the Clippers. And the fucking arena looks insane. Looks insane.
Yeah, that's honestly surprised. I mean, you think of Staples. I feel like when you think of Staples, you think of Lakers. I feel like a lot of people often forget that stadium wears multiple hats. So I feel like that's good for, I mean, the Los Angeles area in general, rather than forcing all these concerts, sporting events into one arena. Can pretty much make double the money by splitting it into two arenas now. So, especially down in the Inglewood area, because I don't know how far that is for people to travel from that area up to LA for like the Staples Center. But now that allows
either way,
millions of people in that area.
It's a pain in the ass to get to the Staples Center either way. No matter where you live, it's a fucking pain in the ass to get there because it's right in the heart of downtown and you got to come. Nobody lives downtown. There's nowhere to live. So you're traveling at least 45 minutes to a couple hours to get to the game, where who knows if it's going to be that bad down in Inglewood. I doubt it because it's not a huge city like Los Angeles. And then Ballmer saying as well, he bought the franchise for $2 billion back in 2014. He said now he was completely fine with sharing the arena with the Kings and the Lakers, but now that they've gotten to a point where he thinks they're going to be consistently good from here on out, it's time for them to have their own arena in their own space and not be undershadowed, like you said, by the Lakers. Because you walk in there and it's all Kobe Bryant shit hanging everywhere. Magic John, it's all the classic Lakers shit hanging everywhere, and the Kings stuff from their Stanley Cups. There's really not a lot of Clippers stuff in there, so
No,
you couldn't even really tell unless I think they had their outright own home game that it was the Clippers played in that building. It's mostly Lakers and Kings stuff all over that place.
yeah, because Inglewood's an area too. That's where SoFi Stadium for the Chargers and Rams now is too. So I wouldn't be surprised if if LA ever adds another team or another team wants to relocate, Inglewood's kind of the area to do it. It seems a lot more open because when they're showing like shots of like SoFi Stadium, it's like open there where there's not like big buildings next to it to where there's space. I'm curious kind of where they're going to be, if it's going to be close to SoFi where the Clippers are going to be building the stadium. I mean, Inglewood is, I'm sure, millions of people, so it's a big area. They could be an hour apart from each other, but
It's 9 square miles. Inglewood is. Population is 110,000 people.
oh, so it's smaller than I thought.
It's a nice area. It's southwest of Los Angeles, and it's right by the airport. It's not far from the airport. So if you've ever flown into there, you're right by the ocean, basically. Yeah, SoFi Stadium's right in the heart and center of Inglewood, basically. Then there's a huge park to the north, which I'm guessing that's going to be the area where it's built because it's the only huge ass fucking green area. But
I mean, with $2 billion, how
yeah, SoFi Stadium's is the only area really where never mind. It's a national park.
yeah, I was gonna say, I was about to ask that what kind of, if it's a state or national park, they can't just go in there and knock it down.
Well,
So they
if
got
paid the state enough, they could.
yeah, but you'd be better off buying people's houses than dishing money to the government or state.
Yeah, it might have to be right next to SoFi Stadium. Because looking at it, they have parking all the way around the stadium that like takes up a lot of area. And then there's a Target across the street, a Hollywood Park casino, a Home Depot, and then you have a medical center. So it's going to be very interesting to see, unless they buy some of that area from SoFi, from the Chargers, what they own, and make it like a multiple stadium thing where you got the Chargers, Clippers, where if you buy a ticket to one game, you get a ticket to another game where they could like team up or something like that. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool if something like that did happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, that's all I had.
Sounds good. Going into the MLB here then. The Brewers got swept in a short 2-game series this week against the Tigers on Tuesday and Wednesday. They look to bounce back this weekend with their last series of the year against the Cubs. The Brewers do need 5 wins in their last 17 to clinch the division. They only need 4 to clinch playoff berth. Obviously, they'll look to hopefully turn things on at the end here because they're a couple games back now from the Giants and the Dodgers as far as having that National League home field advantage throughout the playoffs, which would be huge to have, but
we ain't getting that.
No, they play too many tough games on the stretch. I think the Cubs is really going to be their easiest series. They play the Cardinals, who are getting hot. They play the Dodgers, who are obviously have been hot.
The Phillies just fucking smacked them last night or 2 nights ago, 17-8.
Yeah, those last night. Yeah, they're actually down 7, and they came back, like you said, 17-8 to beat them. Moving on here, the Yankees take an unexpected loss to the Orioles yesterday, 3-2 in extra innings. The Padres got 2 crucial wins against the Giants the past 2 days, leading into a huge series against the Cardinals, which the Padres sit half a game back from them for that second wild card spot. So this series this weekend could have huge implications as to whoever wins it might have the head-to-head advantage as well as a better record coming out the other end. The Angels announced that dual threat Shohei Ohtani will not be pitching the rest of the season after soreness when practicing over the past day or two here. Obviously, you don't want to jeopardize the guy's career or, hurt him for the rest of the year, especially with how dominant he's been at the plate, swinging the bat. So, and the Angels aren't contesting for the playoffs by any means either. So, hats off to him having a good year. Sucks to see it kind of get cut short here, though, at the end. And then the last point here at FNMLB, Kansas City Royals catcher Salvador Perez ties Johnny Bench's mark of 45 home runs, which is the most by a catcher in a season. So with still 15 to 18 games left for most of these teams, looks like he's going to have a chance to try to break that record here, which is awesome to see. Catchers usually one of the last on the batting order. Supposedly supposed to be one of the obviously bottom of the barrel as far as hitting the baseball goes. So great to see Perez kind of going against the grain here and having a good year.
Usually catchers are pretty decent because they see all the pitches more than everybody else.
Yeah, but statistically, they're only like they hit the bottom of the order because they're.
Yeah, they hit 7, 8, 9 because they're like countable to get on base.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as catchers go, they're usually statistically, I feel like not great. You have a handful that are good, but I mean,
well, just look at like Yadier Molina. He's great. Craig Counsell's great. There's a lot of, I feel like, really good catchers. Mike Piazza. I feel like there was a lot of good catchers that are good at hitting. That's just what I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's why they are in the 7th spot, because the 7th spot's a huge spot in the batting order.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's obviously some historic catchers out there, but I don't know. I feel like history ties them to be just one of the more, I don't know, lower positions. Especially with 45 home runs is a good mark, but I'm sure that compared to other positions, that's not the record for like first baseman, outfielders. Those are probably in the 50s, I'd imagine. Yeah, that's all I had for the MLB.
I had just 2 quick things here. Angels manager Joe Madden says he'd be very surprised if Mike Trout makes a return at any point in the season due to his calf injury that he sustained earlier in the year. And then Urias, Dodgers pitcher, takes the MLB lead, picking up his 18th win the other night over when the Dodgers beat the D-backs. 18 wins is a lot.
Yeah. Sounds good then. Going over to the ice then. What's going on over there?
So the ESPN, now that they have regained claims for the NHL to show them this year on ESPN, they have announced the opening night games that are going to be taking place. The Pittsburgh Penguins are going to be taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning, obviously in the banner dropping for Tampa Bay in the early game. And then the late game of the night is going to be the latest 2 expansion teams battling it out as the Seattle Kraken take on the Vegas Golden Knights. I think those are 2 great games to have opening night, especially on primetime television on ESPN. They're not waiting to put big matchups out there. So I'm expecting that to be awesome. The Buffalo Sabres and the Toronto Maple Leafs are announcing the Outdoor Heritage Classic. Normally, years past, it's been the Tim Hortons cross-border rivalry. Every year they've changed it, but I think that they're going to be sticking with the Heritage Classic moving forward. And it is going to be, hold on, let me see where this is going to be played at. It's going to be played at the Hamilton Tiger Cats Stadium in Hamilton, Ontario, the CFL football team's stadium on Tim Hortons Field. So that's probably why they moved the Tim Hortons to the Heritage Classic, because Tim Hortons is like, oh, we play on the field, so you're going to see our name anyway. But yeah, that's going to be cool. It's the first U.S.-based team to compete in a Heritage Classic, which is a part of other sports. So that's pretty cool there. I thought that that's pretty neat. Every year that they kind of do like an outdoor game or something along those lines. That's pretty neat. I think There's going to be, I think the Blackhawks are doing one as well. Just like last season, you had the Flyers and the Bruins play on Lake Tahoe. So that was pretty cool.
Is that like in place of like the Winter Classic?
Yeah. It used to just be one game, like just one. Primetime game would be wherever, and now there's multiple teams that are just like, fuck, it's a great idea to get way more fans to the game, because NHL arenas are only 18 to maybe 22,000 people, 25,000 people, where if you go play in a baseball stadium, you could have 90,000. Like, think how much more revenue you're making. So I feel like all these teams going out and reaching out, finding a team like the Penguins and Flyers, I could see them doing something like those teams that have rivals could easily do something to that effect. Find a football stadium, baseball stadium, a lake, whatever the case may be, and they'd have enough money and whatever to build a rink and make it happen. So I think that's really cool. That it's kind of expanding now. You're seeing 3-4 games a year that are outside or on different venues compared to just being in a hockey rink, which is pretty sweet. Pittsburgh Penguins star Sidney Crosby stated in an interview he's rooting for Washington Capitals Alex Ovechkin to break Wayne Gretzky's goal record. He said that ever since those two have been into the league, it's kind of been, they've been each other's arch nemesis, who's been better. Crosby obviously has way more points. Ovechkin has way more goals. Two just completely different players. But I think everybody who plays in the sport of hockey, even like Wayne Gretzky said himself, he'd be so impressed if Ovechkin could break that record, because how good the NHL is today compared to when Wayne Gretzky could put up 200 points in a season. It's different times. San Jose Sharks forward Evander Kane says that he thinks he's going to be cleared by the NHL after they've reached after investigation on insider gambling. His girlfriend was gambling on games and he knew nothing about it. So everything, he should be cleared of that whole thing. And then Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly of the NHL expects 99 to 100% of players will all be vaccinated before the season gets underway. It's kind of they've sent out a thing to all the teams letting them know kind of how they're planning to make it work. And everybody's on the same page of wanting to get back to normal and not having to isolate anybody on a team, all of those types of things, because I feel like that hurts your team in more ways than just camaraderie and whatever. If you have a guy that can't come around the building, he can't participate in team meetings and whatever, and then you have to show up and play a game, like, he feels like he's not even really part of the team. So, and I feel like we're seeing this in the NFL, like right now as well. I feel like some of these teams that are struggling, if you happen to look and see what players are unvaccinated and whatnot, that could be a huge ripple in the whole process. And then the last news that I have is Chicago Blackhawks star Patrick Kane came out and spoke publicly that he had no knowledge and didn't have any idea about the sexual assault allegations that happened throughout the Chicago Blackhawks organization in 2010. That's still being investigated, and I guess we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I was looking at it. I didn't realize you're talking about Ovechkin trying to catch Gretzky for all-time goals. He's still got a ways to go. Gretzky has 894 goals, and Ovechkin is sitting at 730 right now.
He needs 160 more.
And
that's
on a high end,
seasons of 40 goals.
Yeah, which high end is usually about that, isn't it? Usually 30 to 40 goals, you're having a good season.
If you hit 40 goals, that's impressive nowadays. Anything, like, they call it the 40 goal club. It's fucking very, like, back in the day, it used to be like Brett Hull when he used to play. I think he's got the all-time leading goals in a season. I think he's got like 73. I think is the most. But Ovechkin, just looking at his early in his career, was when he was getting all of his goals, and 65 was the most that he's had in a season. But he averages, like, last season in 45 games. So if he would have played a full season, he would hit 40. He had 24 and 45 last year. And then the year before in 68 games, because he was hurt, he had 48. 51, 49, 33, 50, 53, 51, 32, 38, 32, 50, 56, 65, 46, 52. So he fucking scores.
So even though it's a tall task
every time too, and everybody knows there's just no stopping. There's no stopping that.
No. So even though it's a tall task, it's easy for him.
And with his contract extension that he signed,
5 years, he's prepped
got
to do
enough time to do it.
Yeah,
he said the second he does it, he's skating off the bench and retiring. Like that, he's literally said that because he's won a Stanley Cup. So now that's the one thing he wants to do is catch Gretzky and beat that. And he said the second, I don't know if it was like a full joke, because you can't tell if a Russian's joking or not because how serious they are. But he's just like, yeah, the second I beat that, I'm done. I'm retiring. So,
well, I mean, yeah, 40 goals in 4 years puts him there. That extra fifth year gives him that leeway where if he has an off year or.
Because it says, given that he's averages 0.61 goals per game in his career, according to analytics, it would take roughly about 268 games to pass the record. And 4 seasons would be 320 games. So they're thinking that he could do it in less time than 4 full seasons. I think he can do it, dude. I really do. I think he's the only, I mean, Austin Matthews, young in his career, who's definitely a goal scorer as well. If he can do it for the 10, 15, 12 years that Ovechkin's done it, I mean, who knows? Cole Caulfield, goal scorer, if he can put up 40, 50, 60, like there's guys who can just score goals, and that's what they do. That's just what they do. There's no explanation for it. They may not be the best in other facets of the game, but they can just score, and it is what it is. It's like those, I'm sure everybody's known those athletes are played on teams where it's just like, this guy's awful at everything else, but like, what the fuck? Like how good, like how crazy good is this person gifted at this one thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, then kind of wrapping things up today with our Feel Good Friday stories. I'll throw things over to you for your story this week.
So my Feel Good Friday moment happened this last Sunday as Maya Chaka had made history as the first Black woman to officiate an NFL game. She said that this was such a proud moment, historic moment to me. Hold on, I'm just going to quote her. This historic moment to me is an honor, and it's a privilege that I've been chosen to represent women and women of color in the most popular sport in America, proving that I can defy the odds and overcome. She said she also hopes she can empower others to do what she did, step outside the box and do something different. She's the second woman hired full-time by the NFL, as the last year it was Sarah Thomas who refereed the Super Bowl. Going all the way back to 1965 was the first Black official. Burl Toller was hired, and then when the announcement came in March that she was being officially added to the officiating roster for this upcoming season, she said that this is such a amazing moment in her life for herself, for culture, for all the women, and she's been a part of. She made a career basically officiating college football. She's also a health and physical education teacher in Virginia Beach Public Schools. She joined the NFL's officiating development program in 2014 and has finally made it to the top.
That's awesome. Wait, what game did she ref for?
The Jets and the Panthers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, look to seeing her out there every weekend.
Yeah, I guess for my story, sticking with trailblazing women in the sports industry, we have Miss Lisa Byington. making history as the Bucks' new play-by-play voice on their television broadcasts. The Bucks announced the hiring Wednesday and said that Byington is the first woman to work as a full-time television play-by-play announcer for any major men's professional sports team. Byington replaces Jim Pasch, who retired after 35 seasons as a play-by-play announcer for the Bucks. Earlier this year, Byington became the first female play-by-play broadcaster for the NCAA men's basketball tournament. She was also for the men's and women's soccer play-by-play announcer for NBC Sports in the 2021 Olympics. And she also did the play-by-play for the World Cup in 2019. She worked as a sideline reporter in the men's basketball tournament on CBS and Turner Sports from 2017 to 2019, and has also been a play-by-play broadcaster in NBA and WNBA games. She also made a mark, becoming the first female broadcaster for the Big Ten Network back in 2017. And for her sports background, she played basketball and soccer while attending Northwestern University. So congratulations to Lisa for another trailblazing accomplishment for women in professional sports.
Sounds good. And then some breaking news just came out. 6-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Roger Brown has just passed away at the age of 84. He played 7 seasons for the Detroit Lions after he was drafted in the 4th round in 1960, making the Pro Bowl from every single season that he played in the league. Sheila Ford, Lions owner, made a statement that Roger will always hold a special place in our team's history. Wow. Crazy that he just passed away. It doesn't say how. There's no indications right now. But prior to his NFL career, he was a 2-time NAIA All-American at Maryland State. And he was inducted to the College Football Hall of Fame in 2019 and the Black College Football Hall of Fame in 2015. So our condolences go out to everyone in the family.
Sounds good then. Yeah, doesn't look like anything else has come out over the past hour here. So that's all I got for today.
Oh, one more piece of news came out. LSU becomes first SEC to partner with a gambling company. They agreed to add Caesars Sportsbook. So the value is estimated to be multiple millions of dollars. There's no plans to place a sportsbook in the stadium or at other LSU game venues. However, it will allow any college and all college people to participate. Damn, pretty cool for them. Big money, name, image, likeness. A lot of athletes are about to get paid.
Yeah.
But yeah, then with all that going on, thank you everyone for stopping by. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to your favorite channel out there, In a League of Their Own podcast. You can also click the link below and find all of our other social media platforms. We appreciate the likes and follow on there as well. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere, everywhere where you can give us a 5-star rating, help us move up the charts. We got a big weekend of football coming up this weekend. And yeah, we will bring all that to you on Monday when we are back with our 92nd episode.
Sounds good.
So have a great weekend, everyone, and stay safe out there.
Have a great weekend.